Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is the Book Report. I don't think anybody would disagree with me that watching news broadcasts or reading the daily headlines can be quite disheartening if you're an American. These days, it can be really overwhelming to the point where many people just want to escape from it. Binge watch television or go off and overeat or play games online or just generally just try to escape it all. And in some cases, you can't blame them. Not everybody's strong enough to face the horrifying reality of the United States, 25% into the 21st century. But there are people who prophesized where we would be, and people who we should have listened to when we had the chance. One such man is a fellow named Patrick J. Buchanan. He's not very well known right now. He's not very active. He's, I believe, somewhere in the area of 86 years old. He worked for the Nixon administration back in the day. And he also ran for president in 1992, 1996, and as a candidate for the Reform Party back in 2000. A lifetime in conservative media, worked on TV as a conservative commentator for MSNBC. Well, the word conservative doesn't mean much anymore, if anyone hasn't noticed. It means keeping things the way they are. Now, he's written many, many books. And one such book that I wish I had personally read when it first came out back in 2011 is entitled Suicide of a Superpower: Will America Survive to 2025? Quite prophetic. The book was originally published by St. Martin's Press, now known as St. Martin's Griffin, and was reprinted in 2012 and is still available. Mr. Buchanan is arguably a very powerful intellect, and that certainly comes across in this book, which is predicting the future we are now in 14 years ago. The decay of the United States socially and morally, the inability of the United States to guard its own borders. You've heard that one before. Well, he was raising a red flag about it back in 2011, if not earlier. And the ability to balance our budget, which we've never been able to do, at least in my lifetime. It's a pretty sad book. It's a fascinating book, but it's a book that should have been used to raise the alarm when we could still do something more about where we are now. He even went into various things about the sexual attitudes people have in terms of choosing your own gender, all that sort of stuff. And it's fascinating to read. If you put it to today, well, he got it right. Now, this is not a book to look at historically. There is some value in seeing what he had to say, which is still relevant. Although it's debatable whether things could be turned around enough for the United States to retain its power in the world. He also points out a couple of subjects that people really don't want to deal with. One is demographics, and of course, ethnic backgrounds. In other words, race. That's something that's a political taboo to talk about. But he does talk about the United States being settled from European culture and European peoples, primarily. Now, the man is not a bigot by my definition of it. He ran for president in 2000 on the Reform Party ticket, and his vice presidential candidate was a black American. Now, the man has strong Christian values. He's a very devout Roman Catholic, and he does play that up in his book quite a bit. But if you basically apply that to other religions that are very strong when it comes to moral values, family, a hatred of abortion, all those things, it could translate to something that is still viable in the country we live in. Nevertheless, the man has his viewpoints, and he knows how the world works. I mean, he worked in a presidential administration under a man who was arguably one of the more intelligent men who ever occupied the White House, Richard Nixon, although he was vilified as some sort of evil monster. And compared to what we've seen since, well, he was a saint. Should have his own dedicated cult following. You can buy this book in hardback, the usual things, paperback, electronic, and it's also up on Audible, and it makes it easy to read. And I wouldn't dismiss it because it was written 14 years ago, or I should say published 14 years ago. I would take to heart his prophecy and where things will go and where he thinks they will go. This is not a guy who was weak either. He stood up to the people that didn't want to talk about racial demographics, and he also stood up to the people who were undying supporters of Israel, and he survived. Usually if you take those public stands in this country, they will do everything to destroy you, and he wasn't destroyed. He's written many other good books, which I have been revisiting as of late, but this is one that I urge people now to read, especially since the title, Will America Make It to 2025, being kind of relevant to the year we now find ourselves in. Now, we clearly did make it to 2025, but did we? And 2025 is just beginning. Who knows what the year ahead will bring? Again, the book is Suicide of a Superpower, Will America Survive to 2025 by Patrick J. Buchanan, otherwise known as Pat Buchanan. It was originally published in 2011. The current edition was published in 2012 by St. Martin's Griffin. Read it when you can. This is a perfect book to read in the cold winter months of the year when darkness is something that you need to embrace. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Remember to share with your friends and share with your enemies. I welcome feedback. My email address is feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. I'm up on Telegram. I'm up on Minds. I'm up on MeWe. I'm up on a lot of places. I'm not on Facebook. Don't even ask. And this podcast originates at Substack. The address there is aureliancolumn.substack.com, and this podcast is also heard on Spotify, Apple, and you can also hear it up on YouTube. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and keep reading. Good day.